So round 3 of Super Rugby, the Friday games, we saw the Chiefs go into Eden Park and, despite injuries, pick up an away victory against the Blues, and the Reds ground out a home victory against the Brumbies at home. So for the first result, I have to kind of keep a neutral hat on and try not to be too depressed about the result of the Blues. So a good result for the Chiefs, especially considering the amount of guys they had out. The number was 15 before the team was selected, 15 guys unavailable for selection. And then at the last minute, kind of on match day, Brodie Retallick and Sean Stevenson, who were due to start, also pulled out. So not easy times for the Chiefs, having to bring in 2 late replacements. I mean, Tian Falcon had to take Marty McKenzie's spot, still wearing the 15 jersey, even though he was playing at 10. That's how late the changes were. So yeah, pretty good effort from the Chiefs. Poor from the Blues. This was their chance. It was there for them on a platter. You know, their own players coming back. A team in the Chiefs riddled with injuries, just coming back from a hard loss against the Crusaders. Blues still couldn't get it done. A performance kind of summed up by basically poor decisions. You know, guys not offloading at the right time, so maybe not taking a tackle when they should have taken a tackle, and not passing the ball when they should have passed the ball. Just simple things, kind of schoolboy stuff really for the Blues. Chiefs just you know, precision when it was needed, good elements of their game when it was needed. Their driving maul dominated the Blues, even though, like I said, it's a team full of guys who might not originally have been up for selection. Some have called it a Chiefs B or C team, but I wouldn't go that far. But still, it was definitely not a first choice Chiefs team, that's for sure. So, you know, a lot of knock-ons. So it wasn't the cleanest of matches. Neither of these matches were really kind of classics. Neither team really wanted to kick penalties. They wanted to go for touch. They wanted to get tries, so that was kind of encouraging. But some of the execution from kind of both teams was poor. That's not to say there weren't a few good tries. Akira Ioane scored a pretty nice one. Kind of bumped off a couple of defenders to make his way to the line from. He made it look not that far, but it was a decent little distance. Sean Wainui got a good try. Made Matt Duffy look pretty silly. So yeah, good effort from some of those guys. Killer moment for the Blues. I mean, they were up. The Blues were up 14-5 at one point in the first half, and the Blues have been up against New Zealand opposition a lot before. But all this talk about them not having beaten a New Zealand team in 2 years, it's true. They just can't finish. They can't finish the game. So Chiefs in the start of the second half score 2 quick tries, 47 and 49th minute, to Kane and to Weber. Puts them 10 points up. And that's pretty much game from there. The Blues do come back with a try in the 60th, but yeah, can't get it done. Not to say the Blues didn't have their chance. Right at the end, they had the pressure on. Chiefs end up getting a turnover. Chiefs, in like an event which almost never happens, can't secure the ball enough to kick it out just to end the game. Blues get a last-minute turnover when they shouldn't have, and eventually win a penalty. Kick for touch, so it's there for them to do it, and just line out not straight. I mean, I talked about Lenny Apisai being a good signing for the Blues, and I'm not going to say just because he threw the ball in poorly once makes him a bad player, but it's that kind of key, you know, that's the kind of stuff you do in training every day, 100 times, so you got to get it right on match day, and, you know, the pressure got to him, so, yeah, I mean, you can't blame the whole loss just on that one thing. There were a lot of things that could have been done better by the Blues, and a lot of things the Chiefs did well to kind of disrupt them. So it's not just the Blues lost it. The Chiefs definitely went and won it just as much. So yeah, poor result for the Blues, and it doesn't get any easier because they're about to go overseas and play the Lions in South Africa. So yeah, a pretty poor start to the season. They're going to be low on the power rankings this week, and yeah, you can't imagine the tour of Africa is going to be filled with much optimism after the start of the season. For the Chiefs, they get a bye which is probably pretty timely given the amount of injuries they had. I mean, Brad Weber finished the game on the wing, which I don't believe he's known for, so they need to get some guys back fit. So a week off is very, very welcome for them. A good effort by them. I should say that the Blues had a fair few, stats in the positive. So more possession territory runs, offloads, and things like that. Chiefs, I think, more missed tackles. So the stats were there for the Blues, but the execution was definitely with the Chiefs. In the second game, also not really a classic. The Reds get a victory over the Brumbies without having to score a try, which is unusual in Super Rugby. So, 6 penalties to 2 tries. The lack of conversions for the Brumbies cost them a bonus point. So neither try converted for them. Another Reds yellow card. This time they didn't end up conceding any points during the yellow card period, but it's another one. It's another one where it's kind of shoulder. The commentators will kind of talk it down that it shouldn't be a yellow card, but it's always that kind of thing which is getting yellow carded these days. So eventually the players have got to wake up to the fact that they've got to be more careful. The game is getting a bit softer, you could say, but I mean, player safety is probably paramount. So a game that definitely shifted in momentum. So the first 20 minutes was pretty much all the Reds. I looked when they scored their second penalty, so at 23 minutes, the Reds had 80% possession and 90% territory. So they were all over the Brumbies, but the Brumbies were only 6 points down. So, kind of good D, or a lack of clinical finishing from the Reds. They didn't have, well, they did have chances, but they didn't execute anyway. Brumbies come back into it at the end, the second half of the first half. So they scored a try. The Reds got the yellow card, and by half time, the stats were a lot more even. So 56-44 for both possession and territory. Still slightly in favour of the Reds, but it shows you how much the Brumbies kind of fought back in the first half. After half time, Liliafano went off, so I'm assuming he's got some kind of knock, because you would have thought he would probably play the 80 if fit. Reds kept slotting penalties. The Reds really started to get some scrum dominance in the second half. Brumbies scrum was under a lot of pressure, and it was giving away a lot of penalties for the Reds. That's where they were just able to build so many points. Penalty count in the end ended up Reds 5, Brumbies 13 penalties. So that really was the killer. Brumbies scored the only 2 tries, but like I say, it wasn't a classic, just with some loose passes, some stuff which still kind of seemed a bit rusty. But the Reds definitely seemed more fired up. They seemed to want it more. Whenever they would win a penalty or just have anything to celebrate, they were all over each other, patting each other, whacking each other on the head, and just really the camaraderie seemed really good, and it seemed like they were kind of brothers fighting with each other. I mean, that's not to say the Brumbies didn't do the same, but not the same level. They just kind of looked normal, which in comparison made them look kind of despondent. So yeah, disappointing for the Brumbies in a match they were expected to win. Disappointing when you score 2 tries more than the opposition and still manage to lose the match. Don't even get a bonus point, which could be key in the Aussie Conference. If that's one thing we can say about the Blues, at least they got a losing bonus point. Highlight of this match might be the fact that John O'Lance cleaned up a through ball, a kick through ball, and as he was trying to kind of run up the field, he kind of got caught on the pants. Pants just ripped right down. He was bare backside, just tearing up the sideline. I mean, he kind of slowed down to pull up his pants, and the commentators even said, if he just kept running, he might have been away, but he had to hide his shame, so ended up getting caught. But yeah, when that's the highlight of your match, you're not looking at a real barnstorming game. So, I mean, it was good. It was a good tight game, good contest, but like I say, not one that you'll be wanting to watch again at the end of the season for all the highlights. So yeah, big results in 2 kind of derby games. Reds go on to play the Bulls at home next week, so this win will put them in good stead, whereas the Brumbies have a 3rd away game in a row, and they go down to Melbourne to play the Rebels, who will possibly be suffering from the same effects of travel back from Japan as the Brumbies were this week. Let me know what you guys thought of the results. The Blues won. If you're a Blues fan, very frustrating. If you're a Chiefs fan, congrats. You guys came through in pretty difficult circumstances. Like I said, Brumbies will be disappointed, and Reds will be good for them to kind of kick their season off. So, yeah, let me know what you thought of the results, thought of any of the play. Some Blues players in particular come up for some criticism. Let me know what you think. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys next time. See you later.